Have you ever just been going about your day and then bam, this sudden, overwhelming wave of fear hits you for no reason at all? Yeah, that's a panic attack, and it is a truly terrifying experience. But here's the thing, it's also way more common than you might think. So today we're going to pull back the curtain and really get into what's happening inside your brain and your body in those moments. We're going to demystify the science behind that feeling.
I mean, just picture it. You're sitting at home, totally safe, and then out of nowhere, your heart just kicks into overdrive. Your breath gets short, your stomach is in knots. 1 minute everything's fine, and the next, your entire body is screaming that something is terribly, terribly wrong. It's this intense, physical, full-body alert, and man, it feels completely real and immediate.
And that right there is the absolute key to understanding what's going on. As real as that danger feels, it's not actually there. Think about it. Your body's super sophisticated, life-saving warning system is blaring, but there's no fire. It's a misfire, a false alarm. So what in the world is pulling the trigger?
All right, to get to the bottom of this false alarm, we've got to go straight to the source. Let's meet the security guard of your brain, your amygdala. This tiny but incredibly powerful area is where that first signal comes from.
So here it is. This tiny, almond-shaped and really ancient part of your brain, it's basically your personal bodyguard. Its job is to constantly scan for threats, and the second it senses one, bam, it triggers that fight-or-flight response to get you ready to survive. Its intentions are good, you know. It's just trying to keep you alive. But sometimes, its judgment is a little off.
And this is just a brilliant way to think about it. It's like a smoke alarm that goes off every time you make toast. It's noisy, it's scary, but it's not always telling you the truth. See, the amygdala can get oversensitive. It starts reacting to normal everyday stress, like a work deadline or a crowded subway car, with the exact same intensity it would for a real life-threatening danger. It just can't tell the difference between a real threat and a perceived one.
Okay, so why does this alarm get so sensitive in the first place? It's not totally random. It turns out there are some pretty specific factors that can prime it to be, well, a little too jumpy.
And when you look at the reasons, what's really interesting is that it's usually not just one thing. It's a combination. Sure, a big period of high stress can be the tipping point, but that's often layered right on top of our own unique biology and even thinking patterns that we might have picked up way back in childhood about what's dangerous and what's not.
So let's look at the actual biological machinery that kicks into gear here. When your amygdala sounds that alarm, it activates something called the HPA axis. Just think of it as the body's central command for stress. It's the system that floods your body with hormones like cortisol, and that's what causes all those physical symptoms. The racing heart, the shortness of breath, your body's preparing you for a fight that just isn't coming.
Okay, now this is where things get really tricky. We can actually get caught in this vicious cycle, a loop where our reaction to the false alarm is what accidentally creates a full-blown panic attack. We end up feeding the very fear we're trying so desperately to escape.
And it often starts with this thing called anxiety sensitivity. Basically, because we're worried about having another attack, we become hyper-aware of our own bodies. We start scanning for any little twitch, any flutter, any change. We're essentially putting our totally normal bodily sensations under a giant magnifying glass.
So you can see how this builds into that loop we were talking about. Step 1, there's a trigger. It could be anything. A situation, a thought, or even just a normal bodily sensation like your heart beating a little faster. Step 2, you notice those physical sensations. Your chest feels a little tight. Then comes step 3, and this is the crucial part, the catastrophic thought. You don't just notice the sensation, you misinterpret it as something incredibly dangerous. And that thought, that's step 4, creates more fear, which, you guessed it, ramps up the physical sensations even more. And just like that, you're trapped in the spiral.
And we're talking about thoughts like these. A tight chest isn't just, my chest feels tight. It's, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. A little bit of dizziness isn't just dizziness. It's, this is a sign I'm having a stroke. These thoughts, they are the gasoline poured on the fire of the panic cycle.
This diagram here really puts the whole cycle together visually. You can see exactly how a trigger leads to physical symptoms, which then get misinterpreted catastrophically. This creates more anxiety, which can then lead to these unhelpful behaviors, and the loop just feeds itself over and over. What it comes down to is this. It's the fear of the fear that creates the full-blown panic attack. So when you're faced with this terrifying loop, what's your natural instinct? Well, it's to get away, right? To avoid it at all costs. But the problem is, this short-term fix has a major long-term cost.
And we tend to react in a couple of main ways. First, there's just straight-up avoidance.
We start skipping things. That work meeting, a trip to the crowded supermarket. The other way is a little more subtle. We use what are called safety behaviors. Things like always having to sit near an exit or carrying medication just in case. Little rituals we believe are keeping us safe.
And right here, this is the trade-off. In the short term, yeah, avoiding whatever triggers you brings a huge wave of relief. I mean, of course it does. But here's the catch. In the long term, you are actually teaching your brain, your amygdala, that the thing you avoided was genuinely dangerous. You're reinforcing the false alarm. You're basically training it to be louder and even more sensitive the next time.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. Every single time you avoid something, your amygdala learns, see, that must have been real danger. So the next time, it screams even louder. And this is how people's lives start to shrink. The world of what feels safe gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
But listen, it does not have to be this way. And this is the most important part. The brain is changeable. It is absolutely possible to recalibrate this internal alarm system and take back control.
Which, of course, leads to the big question. So how do you do it? How do you actually reset the alarm? Okay, and this right here is the fundamental shift in thinking you have to make. You don't fight the alarm. I mean, you can't reason with the fire alarm, right? Trying to fight the feelings, to push them away, usually just makes them stronger. The goal isn't to stop the alarm from ever going off again. The goal is to retrain your response to it.
So this is the path to retraining your brain. It's based on some really solid therapeutic principles. First, you challenge those cognitions, the catastrophic thoughts. You have to ask yourself, is this a fact or is this just fear talking? Second, you have to face the physiology. That means intentionally experiencing the physical sensations to teach your brain that, yeah, they're uncomfortable, but they are not dangerous. And third, you change your behavior. You gradually, slowly reduce that avoidance and stop relying on those safety behaviors.
And the reason all of this works is because the brain can be rewired. It has something called neuroplasticity. It isn't fixed in stone. It's literally designed to learn from new experiences. So every single time you respond differently to that alarm, you are actively, literally, rewiring your brain. I just love this quote. It's such a perfect description of the whole process. Each time you face that fear and you discover you're actually okay, your amygdala starts to learn. It begins to whisper instead of scream. You're teaching it through direct experience that it can stand down.
Because in the end, that's what this is all about. Understanding your brain's faulty alarm system isn't just about stopping panic attacks. No, it's about reclaiming your life from the cage that fear builds around you. It's about being able to step back out into the world, because everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear.